Mongolia. An association with Mongolian Mining Journal. The refrain in the Gobi now is "bring the water." So much has been said for so long about the mega project to pipe water to them from distant rivers that the people wonder how long they have to wait for the dream to come true. With more and more mining, but not solely because of this, underground water reserves are being depleted fast, a matter of national concern, but felt more acutely by the people living in the Gobi. They appreciate the importance of mining, but not if, as experts have been warning, the Gobi would start facing acute water shortage as early as 2025, and the situation could become catastrophic in just a few years. All Mongolians have a stake to avert such an eventuality, and the demand has been growing that there should be a new national water policy that treats all water-related issues on a scientific basis. In other words, there should be proper water governance. The term is new, but the idea behind it is old. The government has announced some goal-oriented policies to regulate the use of water without hurting industry, mining in particular. Offhand, one recalls the comprehensive policy on national development, the National Water Program, the Green Development Policy, the Sustainable Development Policy 2030, the Regional Development Policy et al. All have been well-intentioned, but none has made much difference on the ground or to the water underground. It is clear that good water governance demands an integrated and comprehensive approach, and that policymakers in the government should seek the cooperation of serious non-government organizations to arrive at a consensus on this very important issue. The Water Authority has compiled a list of the various water-related laws that are now in force, arranged in descending chronology. The Government Action Plan 2016-2020, Law on Nature and Environment Protection 2012, Water Law 2012, Law on Payment for the Use of Natural Resources 2012, Law on Payment for Water Pollution 2012, Law on Sewage for Hygiene of City and Settlement Water Supply 2011, Law on Prohibiting Minerals Exploration and Exploitation in Waterheads and Protected Zone of Rivers and Forested Areas 2009, Concept on National Security 2010, State Plan for Integrated Water Resource Management 2013, National Water Program 2010. Many believe the chief reason the proposal to have a copper smelter in Hamburg zum Umrau has been shelved. It finds no mention in the Government Action Plan 2020 to 2024 is that no water would be available at that location, particularly as big mines already in Umrau have enormous appetite for water. The OT processing plant currently consumes 913 liters per second, but this will go up to 1200 liters once production begins at the underground mine. Energy Resources consumes 210 liters per second. The need for water would keep rising as more mines, particularly coal mines, build processing plants. The table below is a list of large projects planned in the coming years and their estimated water needs. Shive Energy Power Station, 15.7 million cubic meters per year, 498 liters per second. Oyu Tolgoi Mines, 34.7 million cubic meters per year, 1100 liters per second. Copper Concentrate Processing Plant, 6.9 million cubic meters per year, 220 liters per second. Town Tolgoi Power Station, 1.2 million cubic meters per year, 40 liters per second. Town Tolgoi Coal Processing Plant, 1.4 million cubic meters per year, 46 liters per second. Town Tolgoi Coal Methane Plant, 30 million cubic meters per year, 951 liters per second. Tsagansorg Copper Molybdenum Plant, 1.9 million cubic meters per year, 60 liters per second. Oil Refinery, 2 million cubic meters per year, 63 liters per second. These huge needs have to be met for the country's economic prosperity, and that's why the National Security Council established the Water Authority to work as an implementing agency of the government. It would deal with all issues relating to water, and such centralized management is essential for good governance. Time will tell if such hopes are fulfilled. A start has been made with the plan to conserve the groundwater in Umröv by bringing piped water from some hundreds of miles away, and all the different individual projects such as Orkhun-Gobi and Hirlin-Gobi planned to make this possible have been made part of a larger umbrella project called Blue Horse. This is expected to lead to better coordination and better monitoring, as also to less squabbling among the different projects. The President has asked officials to make appropriate amendments and to establish a working group and take immediate measures to facilitate proper water governance. Progress would be discussed at the National Security Council. As of now, there is a National Water Council, which is responsible for providing policy advice and exchanging information on water security. We often overlook that unsustainable use of water would prove to be bad for agriculture, a sector where Mongolia has ambitions. We must increase domestic agricultural production to meet the demands of a population that's estimated to reach 3.5 million in 2030 and 6 million in the 2050s. There's no question that a great deal needs to be done in the water sector, but while the goals are pretty clear, the paths to them are still mostly uncharted. What will be added to and what taken out from the water law is not known, but it may be recalled that previous amendments were largely responsible in putting large mineral deposits of strategic importance in the Gobi region, Oyu Tolgoi for example, into economic circulation. Good water governance is possible only if there is inter-sector coordination with no contradiction between their laws. Unambiguous, quick and firm political decisions are imperative to secure funding for the Blue Horse project. Its successful execution will depend on how several ministries work together. We have had examples of the government overruling decisions taken by local IMACs to restrict use of water in mining. Let us hope the amended water law would give the Water Authority full and absolute power to provide good water governance, keeping in mind the special and sometimes peculiar conditions of Mongolia. Mining Mongolia, an association with Mongolian Mining Journal. The Oyu Tolgoi Technical Report 2020, uploaded on the company's website on August 28th, says extraction at the open pit mine Oyut and at the underground mine Hugo North Lift 1 ending in 2051, 6 years earlier than what was indicated in the 2016 report, bringing expected gross revenue from sale of concentrate down to $69.4 billion from $82.8 billion US. The extraction schedule in the new report incorporates the effects of the change in the underground mine design, but doesn't take into account the impact of the pandemic on production. Work on developing the underground mine has not stopped despite the pandemic, though it goes on at a slower pace, especially in Shaft 3 and 4 construction. In the meantime, Turquoise Hill published a revised OT feasibility study in July and followed this up with the updated technical report. The new report doesn't say anything about operations in sections such as Hugo South, Heruga and others. The previous report had said extraction would continue for 4 years, from 2017, that is up to 2057, and now the mine life has been shortened by 6 years. The underground mine is expected to begin sustainable production in February 2023, but full production wouldn't be before the first half of 2029. Once that is achieved, 95,000 tons of ore would be extracted from the underground mine per day, taking the annual output to 33 million tons. Work at the underground mine, Hugo North Lift 1, will end in 2043, after a total of 440 million tons of ore has been extracted. The open-pit mine would be producing 40 million tons of ore per annum until 2023. Output would be gradually reduced with the start of extraction in the underground mine, but will not be stopped totally. From first sales in July 2013 until January 2020, a total of 4.6 million tons of concentrate was sold, but 1.23 billion tons of ore will be extracted and processed in 2021 to 2051 to get 31 million tons of concentrate. This concentrate will contain, at a rough estimate, 8.8 million tons of copper, 8.5 million ounces of gold, and 52 million ounces of silver. The concentration plant will process around 40 million tons of ore per year during the life of the mine. But the copper and gold content would start falling after 2040, except for 2042, when the gold content would be much higher than average. The peak earning year would be 2028, with sales of $4.74 billion. That year, production of copper and concentrate would reach 580,000 tons, which is 314% higher than the current figure. And that of gold in concentrate would likely be 570,000 ounces. That super cycle will last until 2040, with annual sales of $2 billion or more. All these figures are based on the assumption that the price of copper would be $3.08 per pound, of gold $1,292 per ounce, and of silver $19 per ounce. These could, of course, be both higher or lower. Oyu Tolgoi currently uses 187 megawatt of power, but this would go up to 230 megawatt during the super cycle. As for water, the mine is entitled to use water from the Gunilhola aquifer at level of 918 liters per second. But an updated study says the aquifer can allow up to 1,415 liters per second. The report mentions that sales could be affected if the concentrate fails to meet Chinese import standards. As of now, the arsenic level is within acceptable limits, but those of lead, cadmium, and mercury are being reviewed. The total dependence on Chinese buyers is another risk, and the company says it hopes to be able to reach third markets through Chinese and Russian ports. Oyu Tolgoi has earmarked $1.3 billion as mine closure costs to be spent over a period of 15 years. The loss to Mongolia from the shorter life of the mine could be offset if the company opts to develop other sections of the mine. This, however, is a big decision that can be taken only after an evaluation of both political and commercial factors, both of which are unpredictable now. Mining Mongolia, an association with Mongolian Mining Journal. With its action plan duly approved on August 28th, the new government is now set to begin work to fulfill its promise to transform Mongolia from an importer country to an exporter one. It is surprising that the plan is silent on the Oyu Tolgoi IPO and talks only of building a processing plant for coal from the deposit and commissioning a railway, both of which are expected to facilitate easier and increased exports. The Tsarantsova copper and molybdenum mine would also be commissioned as part of the action plan, giving Mongolia 3 big and working copper mine projects. 2 state-owned thermal coal mines, Bagnor and Shiveawa, will be expanded, bringing down their extraction costs, which in turn will have a significant impact on the energy sector. As for heavy industry, the crude oil processing plant would be operational. A copper concentrate processing plant would come up at Erdenet. The gold refinery would also come up, ending a long wait. The plan includes implementation of several big projects in the infrastructure, energy, and construction sectors. The most important of these is the 450 megawatt Oyu Tolgoi power plant, which would meet the energy needs of the Oyu Tolgoi and other big mines and other industries. In the renewable energy sector, 2 wind turbine projects, each with a 50 megawatt capacity, and 4 35 megawatt capacity solar projects are expected to be implemented. The feasibility study of the project to lay a natural gas pipeline through Mongolia from Russia to China would be completed, and construction work could also begin. As for railways, the 267-kilometer Oyu Tolgoi Qashun-Sukhat, the 414-kilometer Oyu Tolgoi Zumbaying, and the 46-kilometer Narin-Sukhat-Shivekurin railways would be ready, while construction of the Sanshant-Hut and Hut-Bichik railways would start. In order to make transport services environment-friendly, Ulaanbaatar will get more buses that run on electricity or natural gas. Apartments for 150,000 households would be built by both state-owned and private companies. Any prospective buyer who has paid all their social insurance premiums would be eligible to borrow money against the apartment at 4 to 6% interest. Water is the most important component of green development, and projects would be taken up to supply water to meet the needs of mining in the Gobi. The Hukhmar or Blue Horse project is planned to store surface water, but for that, the Orkhung and Hirtan projects have to be prepared and their feasibility studies completed. More land would be kept as forest area. Measures taken to minimize water pollution and stricter water management regulations enforced. More grey water would be put into use. The state funds would be used to rehabilitate 8,000 hectares of land damaged by mining. A recycling plant for hazardous waste would be established. A new water treatment facility would come up in Ulaanbaatar, and the grey water from it would be used in thermal power plants. Taken together, all these projects would require billions of dollars. The action plan is silent about where the money would come from. Some are clearly kept aside for implementation only with foreign governmental financing. As for some others, the government would take credible steps to protect foreign investors' interests and then hope for such investment or to receive soft loans. This would apply mainly to all the mega projects and to projects in, for example, the following sectors: infrastructure, mining, energy, food and agriculture, and tourism. Things always look good on paper, and most of the projects have been talked about for years under several previous governments. However, there is a widespread feeling that this government means business, and the coming 4 years would see progress on many fronts. It is most important to keep execution and administration free of politics, but the responsibility for that rests almost entirely on politicians. Many of the projects were planned by the last government, which was also run by the same party as now, and that continuity makes one feel more hopeful of success. It is easy to feel enthusiastic about an enticing action plan, but as we Mongolians know to our cost, it never does to count our chickens before they are hatched.
Mining Mongolia, an association with Mongolian Mining Journal.